to have, like, I've seen my account be like big before, and I'm like, and then he's like, oh wow, I've never seen my, and then that's it. Because at the end of the day, if it's not doing anything for you, it's just, you're just losing money. If you just leave it sit in the bank. If you listen to anybody that's, you know, successful, like even like Greg, like I'm always trying to find a way to move this money, because it's about cash flow and having your money work for you and making investments. And like you said, the values always come back like they do. But at the same time, I was listening to someone, and I took a second, where I was at InvestFest, and she was talking about how her neighbor bought a house that was $400,000. She's like, when is she gonna ever make her money back? And I was like, man, she doesn't understand. And I had to educate her. I'm like, because she said, I think she's using it for Airbnb, but you know, she'll never make her, she won't make her money back for like 15 to 20 years. I'm like, it doesn't, she doesn't, like, what is she gonna do with that money? You know, right. she's making cash flow. That's the game. Oh, that's the motive of the game. And
I built this, me, brick by brick.
Welcome to Brick by Brick, where we discuss different ways for you to build your empire, one brick at a time. We discuss everything from real estate, e-commerce, stocks, crypto, and more. Whether you're an entrepreneur, working a 9-to-5, or in the streets, Brick by Brick is here to help you get to the next level. Let's go.
Shit. Yo, big bro. How you feeling? How are you doing, man?
Blessed, bro. As always.
Blessed, as always.
11 months back in these streets.
Freedom. Yo, it's been almost a year, right?
Next month.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yo,
I'm actually reaching out to a lawyer this week. Next week, about getting me situated with this house arrest thingy.
Oh yeah?
Trying to get the hell off of that.
Nah, I feel you, man.
Yeah.
Next time you come to Florida, we gotta have Cracker Barrel again. That was a banging breakfast. You know what I'm saying? But yo, man, listen, we just had a fire episode with Kelli Meade, incredible real estate agent, investor, wholesaler, marketer, just all around entrepreneur. Listen, y'all are gonna love this episode. We learned a whole lot. It was super, super dope. Man, any quick free gems you want to give the people, Greg?
You gotta stay focused, and whatever you're building, like you gotta stick to it. Like even with the podcast, like in the beginning, I was like, yeah, we're doing good work, but I didn't feel like it was reaching people. But stick to it, bro. Like we're gonna get it done, and don't be afraid to talk to people. Like it may be a no, but man, so what? Just keep it moving, talk to somebody else. Like, and that's how we met. Like we met at a seminar, and we sat next to each other, and we just sparked up a conversation. And like the coolest person in the world, and super knowledgeable. So yeah, man, don't be afraid to talk to people. And like, it ain't nothing but a no. It is what it is.
And every no just gets you closer to a yes. That's all it is, man. Most definitely. So listen, y'all are gonna love this episode. It's full of bars. And matter of fact, just so y'all know too, listen, Noir B&B is gonna be relaunching soon. I've been working on a whole new site, getting some new listings on it, getting things tested and rolling out. So that's coming soon as well too. But listen, this episode we talk about everything from investing to the 2008 crash to marketing. The whole night. It's an incredible episode, man. It's like another episode of Brick by Brick. Tune in, check it out. See y'all in a bit, man. Peace. What is going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Brick by Brick show, and this one is special. So, first of all, is it Kelli Meade? Am I pronouncing that properly? Yes. Kelli Meade. So, just so you know, Kelli Meade, you are actually a trailblazer. You are our first female guest on the Brick by Brick. It's been a whole bunch of testosterone in the building. You know what I'm saying? But you are the first woman to grace the Brick by Brick show. So welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Thank you. Now I feel I was already feeling honored, man. Now I feel especially honored. So yay. Yeah, I love that. Sure. I love that.
Yes, ma'am. That's what's up. So I'm excited to do this episode because one, I mean, the last guy we were speaking to is a real estate investor, wholesaler, been heavy in the game, but I believe you are the first agent on the show that we're going to speak. So, but you also do wholesaling as well too, right?
I do. I sure do.
Okay. All right, cool. So first of all, of course, definitely, I'm happy to have you on. But before we even get too crazy, I wanna kind of get into your backstory. So, where are you from, and what's your story? How'd you get into real estate?
Oh, that's a great story. Great question. I am from a town called Sheffield, Alabama.
Okay, nice.
Probably, I mean, definitely less than 100,000 people. Probably, I think maybe 15,000 people.
Really?
Yeah, it's in the northwestern part of Alabama. It's around the area where, like, if you ever listen to blues, W.C. Handy in Florence, Alabama, Helen Keller in Tuscumbia, Alabama, they all kind of sit right there together, and they make up what they call the Quad Cities of Alabama. So grew up there, and then I left, grew up in a middle-class household, went to college in Auburn University, and I graduated though in literally fall of 2008. And if anybody remember what fall of 2008, what happened?
Oh yeah. Wow.
The stock market crashed. And so went to school to be, had a bachelor's degree in information management systems, and went to go start trying to find jobs, and literally nothing was available but like tech support jobs that doesn't require a bachelor's degree. So you know, I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Honestly, I didn't really know what entrepreneur meant. I just knew what CEOs of companies meant at the time. And so I said, well, if I'm going to be that, I need to hone in on my sales skills. And so I just took that opportunity when I graduated. I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to apply for any jobs because I replied and I didn't get anything. And I said, I'm just not going to pursue that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and go into sales. And so I moved to Birmingham, Alabama, which if most people don't know, like, goes back and forth between Huntsville, Alabama is the biggest city, but then it was the biggest city, biggest metro city in Alabama. And man, when I tell you in 2009, with it being like the heat, like in the middle of the recession, people were just doing just about anything to make some money, because it's different from this correction where back then there literally were no jobs. This time you see hiring everywhere, but like it was literally a housing crash. It was no jobs. And I got on to be a insurance agent. So when you were telling me about that earlier, I actually started my career, and I thought I was going to get my series license and become a financial advisor. And I realized I didn't really it wasn't passionate about it. It was really tough because I was working for a company called Bankers Life, and they specialize in senior citizens. And so I'm talking to senior citizens. I was like 22, 23 at the time, talking to senior citizens that literally lost half of their net worth, you know, in the stock market crash. And they're talking to me, which I'm old enough at that point to be like a grandchild. And it was tough. I was like, I don't think I like this.
Yeah.
I did well at first, and then I just realized I didn't like it. And so a friend invited me to a real estate boot camp class in like June or July. And that was the very first time I heard the words real estate investing. I never even knew what that was. And it was a Robert Kiyosaki boot camp. We went to like that one night, and then we signed up to go to the weekend, and it changed my entire life. Like, it changed my whole perspective. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That book literally jump-started like my thought process of I am going to be a millionaire one day, and how I'm going to get there is using real estate. And I said that real estate is going to be my retirement plan. Because even when we were in the seventh grade, my teacher, it was the first time my teacher told me, like, don't worry about Social Security because it's not going to be available to you.
Y'all ain't going to have it. Yeah.
You need to start figuring it out now. And so I had always remembered that part. And when I learned about real estate investing and everything, and then wholesaling, like learning like the different strategies of how to invest in properties, that's when I decided that was it. That is what I was going to do. And I just kind of, I don't know, I just fell in love with it. And I did not have the money at that time to sign up for their coaching, because the coaching was like upwards of 5 figures. And I'm just out of college. I barely had $1,500 in my name. And I'm still having to like live off of my parents at the time. So I got a coach, and I still actually am connected with that coach to this day, and taught me wholesaling, like just basically broke it down even further than what I've learned in that weekend class. And I started putting out bandit signs, and I started working with a lot of REO agents and doing a lot of short sales, because, you know, in the 2009 and that stock market, I mean, in this crash, it not only was the stock market, but it was the real estate completely crumbled. And there are properties, there was literally pennies on a dollar. There was so much inventory that the banks had that they couldn't even get through it fast enough. And so that's how I got started in real estate. And it just took a while for me. I really wish I had stayed in it, but it took a while for me to get going. And I was kind of racing against time, because my dad gave me that baby girl call, like, you know, I love you, but I'm about to cut you off call. Like, you're gonna have to find a job, or you're gonna have to come back and live at home, or you're gonna have to go back to grad school. And I didn't want to do any of those things. And so I decided to go get a job. And I started working with the Navy, and I actually was able, it was a good thing though, because I was able to, now that I was a W-2 employee, I was able to then start to buy my very first rental property and my very first flip. So I was able to get in it outside of like wholesaling. But even though I stepped away for a while and I was like, you know, being a working girl, I needed real estate. Actually, I started another startup company. It was completely outside of real estate. It was a wearable tech company called Gym Phones. And I basically poured all of my savings into it, and I learned a lot of lessons, and I spent my tuition on those lessons. And so I needed real estate because I needed to generate money, because I actually quit my job to focus on that startup. And I needed real estate again. And so I got back in it. I got back in it by wholesaling, and I started buying property with no money down and using creative finance. And so I got back into it, started teaching free real estate classes, and then got the opportunity to become an agent for a builder, and went from that to director of sales to VP of sales, where I was running the team. And it was just, it was an amazing experience, because that was the other part of real estate that I never knew. Like, I knew about single family homes and multifamily homes, didn't know anything about new construction. And so once I got into that piece, I really fell in love with real estate, because now, not only just looking at how to rehab a property, like how to just envision and get creative with land and developments. So that is my real estate journey. It started in 2009, and it's still going now, even though I took some breaks in the middle, but yeah, it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. So first of all, that story is amazing. That's I mean, especially to jump out of the game, or to be out of college in the middle of like one of the craziest recessions in a long time. That's amazing. So shout out to you for even being able to bounce out and come through that. So yeah, so Greg, I'm sure you got a couple of questions just based off that.
Yeah, it's funny because I started around 2010, but yeah, like right around the middle of 2010, where I actually started really understanding real estate and understanding the rehab process and just how cheap houses were at the time. So, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, it was so many houses out there, no one to buy them. There was damn near giving houses away. Where I remember like they were giving like they were legit giving grants for if you're a first-time home buyer and you buy in certain zip codes that like really got hit hard, man, they was giving you all your closing money. So I mean, I remember how rough that was. And like I knew a couple of people that were real estate agents early on, like 2005 and up, and they were really killing. But like when 7 and 8 hit, it was over for them. Like they had to find something else to do. So I get it. I mean, that I couldn't imagine you coming out of school and having to figure out and then getting into real estate right around that time. I knew it was rough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's crazy. I mean, so even with that though, so it was rough for, I mean, a lot of people. But something that a lot of people don't even know is that during recessions is when millionaires are made, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So even to that point, right? So you discussed that you're working with an REO agent. For folks that don't know, what is an REO agent? What is REO in general? Like, what does that mean?
So REO is real estate owned property. That means that the bank basically has taken back ownership. That means that it has went through the entire process of foreclosure. Now I was working with agents that were, so the thing about it now is it's a little different now. And I can tell the difference with how it was then and how it would be now. So back then, the banks had so many properties that were going into foreclosure. They were actually spending time before the foreclosure process to try to work out short sales, which is basically they'll take a lesser amount for the property. And if the buyer was to like basically sell it, and they'll take a lesser amount for it. They were working with people, and REO agents were super busy trying to work on short sale deals to basically take lesser amounts. Sometimes that process, at minimum 9 months, sometimes even 18 months, because there's a lot of paperwork involved in order to make that happen. That was because they did that because there was no equity to grab out of the properties because the values had went down, nobody was buying, and then everybody around you were in the foreclosure. So the property value just tanked. So that's why that's why you could work with real estate REO agents then and try to work through a short sale. Today is not the same, at least not in most markets. People keep asking me, do I work with foreclosures? I will, but someone has to contact us soon enough, like before the lease pendants, which is like before the banks actually file that they're going to go into foreclosure, because banks are not working with anybody anymore. They are speeding right past that foreclosure because there's so much equity to grab that they know that they can set that house at a price and they know it's going to sell, and they know that they can get it off their books. Because still banks are not in the real estate business, but they are in the business of recouping their money. And so they know that they can recoup their money. So they're not like, you won't be able to like work with a REO agent like you did back then, where you can work out short sales and before the foreclosure. You may in some cases, but not like back then. Now, when people go to REO agents, the house has already been foreclosed on, it's already bank owned, and then they can go and negotiate an offer with the bank themselves to get the property.
Yeah. So listen, that was just a whole bunch of free game for y'all right there. Yeah. And 2 key points, right? Listen, just because it's called a short sale doesn't mean it's going to be a short process to get that sale closed, right? Yeah. like the bank is taking a short on their money. It's not going to be a quick sale. So yes, I mean, if you want to try to do that investment route, you can, but you got to have a whole lot of patience and a whole lot of time. So yeah. So definitely, right? So that's dope. So all right. So and shout out to you for even taking a break on the startup. I mean, sometimes you gotta have your own little entrepreneurial journey and test things out. But like you said too, some more free game for y'all. When you invest in a business, an idea, whatever you're doing, even if you take an L, listen, that is just that's an MBA right there. You know what I mean? Like you just learn how to operate, run a business, and even if that business doesn't work, you can take that information, that knowledge that you got, and take it to the next thing. So all right, so that's dope. So okay, so as far as like some of the initial hiccups of when you got back in real estate, what were they like? How'd you experience them? How'd you kind of overcome some of those?
Oh man, there were several. I mean, the thing about it is I get people that ask me questions all the time about how long until I get my first check, but it's really a numbers game, and not just a numbers on what you do at the house. It's how many qualified leads you have coming in, how many people you're talking to, and how fast you can get to the deal. And it's competitive out here. You have to find ways to be memorable. But some of the hiccups, especially, and today I feel like it's so much easier. Like, I don't understand people when they say they can't find a deal, because back then, I mean, I used to handwrite letters and send direct mail. Like, there wasn't, when I first got started, there was no social media. There was no Instagram. There was, I think, I remember when Twitter just came online, when Didi was like talking about Twitter for the first time in 2009. Like, we had Facebook, but Facebook wasn't used like that. And I don't even think there was a marketplace then. And so I used bandit signs and bought leads from like this old site that like was UPS leads, USPS leads, postal service leads. And I wrote letters and stuffed them and mailed them myself and paid for postage. Like, it's a grind. It's still a grind. But it's all about numbers. But some of the hiccups, when you're getting involved, like, the thing about real estate is that I feel like is different from stocks is in stocks, they always say that you can't have any emotion. You have to have a game plan, like, and don't deviate from the plan. But in real estate, that's not the case. You're dealing with emotions, because if you're dealing with people, and a lot of times it's either they're tied to a memory, they're tied to the largest investment that they've ever made in their entire life. And so when you're talking to these people, like, you have to be empathetic. And so the biggest things that I've had is, a lot of denial, people because we deal when we're wholesaling and real estate investing, it's all about, you find your riches in I was going to say the niches, but the niche is distressed properties. And they're distressed.
That was a bar just now.
Yeah, you do. You find them in the niches, and the niches of wholesaling, especially in real estate investing, is, value add properties that need value add. And it's not even just sometimes the property itself, it's the owner that's distressed. And so, I remember like my very first creative finance deal. It was a couple. They were a few payments behind. They were like 3 payments behind on their mortgage. They were going to go into foreclosure. They had lost their job, and they had just kind of given up. They had another job offer, but it was in a different state. And I remember walking in this property, and you can tell that nothing had been fixed. Like, I wouldn't have thought people were still actively living in this property. It was so bad. It was horrible. And they had 2 huge pit bulls that just kind of roamed inside. Like, it was, and I'm talking about a 1,200 square foot home. Like, it wasn't huge. And it was 1 bathroom, completely unusable. And here it is, they still had a mortgage left on this property.
Wow.
It wasn't even worth what in repairs what the mortgage was worth. But being able to understand their problem, like, it wasn't about me going in and buying a house. It was about me trying to solve a problem for them. And, the way we solved it is, I was able to basically go over and take over the payments. I never put my name on a loan. I didn't pay them anything to move. And I was able to bring another family in that actually wanted a fixer-upper, that wanted to get their first home. And they wanted to do a rent to own situation, which they still are in it now. And, but, I would say, like, it was a process, because you have to go through and get down deep into what the problem is and how, because I didn't know that they had a foreclosure. I didn't know they were behind on payments when I first met with them. They were so closed off. And I kept, you just kind of got to dig more and have a conversation and kind of get personal with them. And I think some people in this game, they hear about all these gurus that are making, and they see people posting these large checks, and they think only about the money, and they forget about the people that are tied to the property. And I think they are trying to figure out, why am I not successful? Well, let's go back and look at how are you approaching this? Because maybe, and if you're not the person to do it, maybe you need to add someone to your team that understands how to communicate and connect with people, so that you can you can, win more deals. So other than that, I mean, it's the typical, like, I walked in, I've gotten covered with fleas before properties.
Yep. Wow.
Just, I mean, stuff like that, having to throw all my stuff, like, get in the garage, because it's like I'm like fleas everywhere, having to get flea collars and like put them all in my car. Like, it was terrible. And the feces, it's just I don't know how nasty we want to get, but I've got to the point where I tell my team, if possible, I never want to walk a house again. So that I walked enough houses in my lifetime to tell enough stories. I'm good.
No, I feel you. All right, so those are definitely some hiccups for real. I respect what you were saying too, because the last brokerage that I worked with, shout out to Tanisha Williams, the head of the brokerage, Elite Realty. But one of the things that she always said was, we got to put people over profit. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute, you know Tanisha?
That's what you mean. That's the homie.
That's my baby. I love Tanisha. Okay.
Small world.
Yeah, right. But here's the thing: not even a small world. Tanisha's big in the game too.
Yes.
So, yeah. Definitely big in the game. So shout out to her and gave me some of the best
together for sure.
We got to, y'all got to, for real. But she gave me some great information.
My bad, I mean to cut you. That's why, like, when we first met, I'm like, okay, so you do wholesaling, awesome. And then just having a conversation, I realized that you were really in it and passionate about it, and you can talk to people. I know that's not my strong suit, and like that's why, I think we were like maybe 20 minutes in the conversation. I'm like, look, I'm trying to build this wholesaling arm in our business. Let's partner, do something. Like, I'm up north. Let's do something up north for real. Like, let's really get it done, because I know that, like, not only are you talented, but like you really, like, I can tell from our conversation, I'm saying, like, that you really care about people. It's not about, oh, let's get over on them. If we can help, we're here to help. And once we help, I mean, like, we get a good deal and we can make some money as well. So it's like a win-win for everybody. So again, we still got to make that happen.
Yeah, sure. We do. We need to figure out what that looks like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But me and Greg talked about it all the time. It's something that we say often on the show, is that real estate is a people business. So you got to be empathetic, but you got to be able to talk to people, connect with people, and see how you can add value and solve a problem. That's, I guess, the most important thing for sure. Most definitely. And a side note too, it's funny that even to one of your earlier points, you said that you kind of got into the game by going to one of Robert Kiyosaki seminars. And I swear, people are gonna think that we're affiliating for that man, because every episode, if we're not talking about Robert Kiyosaki, we talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or one of our guests is talking about how, like, that's the book that they read to kind of open their minds up. And people say that the book is a fiction book, it's not real, and I don't think it matters, because so many successful people have outlined that book as what really got them started and got them in the game. So shout out to you for that as well. But I want to ask something, or I kind of want to dig into something that you said, just so people can clarify and understand what this means. So you discussed creative financing. Yes. So what is creative financing for those who don't know?
Awesome question, because anybody that's looking to get in the real estate game right now, especially, you need to have a really great understanding of creative finance, because that's how you're going to win deals in this market right now. Because we're in a I don't like to use recession for this one. I even though technically we are, they say technically, but it's more of a correction. I kind of knew that this was coming already from when I was selling houses and seeing how, mortgage rates were almost at zero, Federal Reserve rates were at zero. Like, it's not sustainable for the amount of properties that was being sold and at a fixed rate. It just wasn't sustainable. It caused inflation. And so now people have seen their neighbors and their, and their cousins, and they've seen them sell their properties at these astronomical prices, because not even just retail buyers, investors were buying property at, 110, 120% above market value, going over bid 70K. Like, I've seen appreciation. We were selling houses that started out one price and appreciated with like 70K and like within a year. So crazy inflation. I say all that to say that now in sellers, I talked about the market cycles, how we go through different market cycles, and it's just all about a cycle, right? It's just, you got to know where you are in that wave and what strategy works best. And right now we're starting to get a little bit out of the denial, the seller denial, and going more of a buyer market. But as we're in that denial area right now, because sellers still want this high valuation for their property, but I just recently saw that we've had the least amount of applications for mortgages in the last like 20 something years. Nobody, because the money is so expensive now, that nobody can get approved for it. Really, not even just wanting to, they can't get approved for it. And so in order for people that really need to sell their property, there's only a few options. It's either take less money for your property and move on, or figure out some solutions. If you want that price point for your property, can you take a little less money up front and take some more over time? And that's kind of the creative finance. It's nothing new. It's been around for years. Owner finance, seller finance, subject to some little mortgage. Is like it's how you do so many different deals, even in developments. But the creative finance essentially is a couple of different ways. Say, for instance, the one I talked about in that property is if someone has a mortgage, a lien against their house, and let's say they owe about 50K on the left on the mortgage, and the house is worth about 55K maybe, and with the repairs and everything else, it just doesn't make sense to pay out the full amount. And what you can do is create a structure create a finance deal that says you leave your name, seller, on the deed, on the lien, on the loan, and then, but you're going to deed this property over to me, where I'll pay all the insurance and taxes on the property, but you deed it over to me, and I will pay your mortgage, seller. And even if you can even work out a deal where I'll give you the 5K up front for that, and I will take over the rest of the loan. So that's how they can still get their 55K. They took 5 up front. They're going to pay, because they were going to just use the 50K to pay off the loan anyway. I'll take over that. What happens is now you get to keep their interest rate, and you don't have to come up with a large sum of money to buy property when you already have to go in and get the repairs done, because you can still, now that the deed is in your name, now you can go to a hard money lender, private money lender, and now you can get a rehab loan that they usually finance 100% because they pay it out in draws. So now you're in a property at 5K, you're paying payments, you got 100% of the rehab costs. And then once you refi, maybe it's going to be worth 80K. And so now you have that equity built in. You can go out, pull that cash out, and go buy another property. So that's a really easy way to get into real estate right now. And I tell people that to really get, and there's so many, I can get like, I spent 2 weeks training my team on this, and we still didn't touch everything that can be done with it. But the biggest thing is to know that it's out there, and to know that when to use it. And that's really when the seller just absolutely wants a certain price that doesn't make sense as cash deal, because we need to if we're going to pay cash, especially now, cash is so expensive, it has to be at a discount, that we can work out other ways to give them some cash now, and then either cash later, or pay on their loan so they don't have to satisfy that.
Yeah. So I was like, I think I said it to my agent, but like I said to my brothers all the time, in this business, it's all about terms. Let's come to terms, because I know what you want. I know exactly what I need. So we just have to figure out these terms to make this work, to make it make sense. So you're absolutely right. I do have a question. When you do okay, so like when you do that, where they keep the mortgage in their name and then you go to the hard money to get the loan, right? How do you get the hard money company to be okay taking a second position on the deed? Because the bank would have first position because they carry that mortgage. Because like I was having a conversation with my hard money guy yesterday, actually, with that project that we talked about, that 13. Well, actually, I spoke to the architect and he said with the lot we can do 13 units, not 15, which I'm not mad at. But I'm saying, like I was saying to you, I don't want to do that whole deal through hard money because just that interest and carrying cost is high. So I was talking to them about, if I buy it through my credit union and then you guys fund the rehab, but the credit union gonna have first position. They was like, no, we would have to have like first position or whatever. So like, how do you get around things like that?
It's not, it's going to be tough to per se to get around it. It's really about finding the right hard money or private loan lender that will be okay with it. And it really, because with you have experience, you have a relationship, they understand, once they know the plan and they understand what you're going to do, then a lot of times that's okay. But I guess to answer that question in so many words is it really depends on the actual lender. There are some lenders that won't, and there's some lenders that will be okay with that. But because especially if the market values, like if the after repair values hold true and they know what you're going to do, they know that you're going to refinance. It even helps if you go ahead and say that I plan to refinance through you, lender at the interest rates. It definitely helps. But the other ways that you can, I guess you say you really wouldn't be getting around it is if you were to raise private money to get through the rehabs or use business credit or business lines of credit. Depends on how much the rehab is. If for some reason you go through lenders and they're not willing to do the fix and flip. And the other thing is because now the deed is in your name, in your company name, now you can also you can leverage that and take out you can, if it's anything now, if it's truly, if they come back and because they'll do an appraisal sometimes unless it's an asset-based lender. Let's just say even that the as is value, look, we use it, go back to the example of saying you bought it at 55K and you have a 50K loan on it. And then they go and they look at it and they say it's as an asset-based lender, then they'll just go ahead and let you refinance into them. Now I would look at the interest rates to see if it makes sense. And if they can refinance at an as-is value that's a little bit higher, then that's how you can pull your cash out. But I wouldn't do that until I'm finished with the rehab. I would go with a lender that will take second position on the property and then refinance at the market value versus that. I wouldn't suggest the other way around. Right. Or we go to a hard money lender or a private money lender that just people that have cash that want to also make 12% on their money. And they, because they can pull it out of their Roth IRAs, they can pull it out of their different retirement structures as well. And use that to invest as well. So,
right. And see, that part I do know and understand, but let me say this before I say that. I know that once we can get a pool of private lenders that really see the vision, because I mean, we all do have the experience, you know what I'm saying? But I never really ran in that circle. You know what I'm saying? Like most of the people I know, they have the money, but I don't want it because I know how they came about it. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't help me any. But yeah, like, so I'm trying to, and like I talk to my brothers about this all the time too. Like I'm trying to figure out how as a team we can like build out that pool of people where they will loan the money, knowing that, okay, this is the interest and they're going to make money on their money. Like it all makes sense. It's just finding those people and building those relationships. And this business really, really, really is all about relationships. Like I've been saying it all week, but it just keeps ringing true more and more. So I guess I need to work on that as well.
So, because I get what you're saying, because when we had this conversation, I was like, I know I got family members. and I know sometimes that financial literacy part, because they have one way of making money and that's the only way they know how. But if they were to leverage it, think about your Frank Lucases of the world, like being able to what they call, I don't know how let me ease up on my terminology, but
this is brick by brick. You can say it how you want to. Keep it real.
Right.
I was gonna say, in a sense, anybody can go and start an LLC, right? And anybody can go and and even if they don't have credit, they can utilize someone else's credit. I'm sure there's a mother, there's a girl, there's somebody that they can utilize, leverage credit and go start an LLC, and then now they can go figure out a way to get that money in the account. And then now they can also go use business credit to get lines of credit and get, bank money to go and put into real estate. And in that way that they can actually generate some money.
Some valid.
Right.
You saw I was gonna say clean money, but
I mean, but that's what it is, clean money. And that's the main reason we started this, because I know like a lot of guys that really like some niggas, like they put money in the wall because they ain't got nothing else to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, you have to figure out another way to go about this. And this is why we do this, to show that, hey, y'all know me. And if you don't know me, I'm not proud of it, but I have a track record. Like, you can look me up and see that I'm not bluffing on anything I'm telling you. So if I can transition into doing this and not stress, not look over my shoulder, bro, you can transition as well. You just have to switch your mindset. And I think that's going back to that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Whether it's true or not, it don't matter. Like, it really helped a lot of people change their mindset. And that's where the real power is. It don't matter if his dad was rich or poor. Like, it really doesn't. The fact that it allows you to see outside of what you knew and understanding, hey, I can do this too. And all it took was that mindset switch. And then you just start making the steps to make it happen. Like, it's doable. But like, a lot of guys I know don't want, like, they don't see it. And like,
hey, listen, man, for all you guys who got your money in the wall, that's cool. But understand, inflation is the highest it might have ever been. So while it's chilling in the wall, that's dope. But it's losing value every single second of the day because inflation is going crazy. So if you want that money to maintain its value and increase its value, real estate is something that you want to look into, because there are corrections and there are recessions, but overall, on average, real estate always, for the most part, increases in value, increases in equity. So that, like, these are the kind of moves and the kind of things that you want to be focusing on and transitioning to. And that's why we call it brick by brick, because you can go from one brick to brick and mortar. And this is what we're talking about right here. So major key.
Bro, but not even just so I mean, even when your property lose value, it'll come back. It'll
come back, exactly.
I mean, like, it's gonna come back like good dope. It will come back. Like, it's gonna always come back. Number one. Number two, like on Nipsey album, Victory Lap, I forgot what song it was on, but he spoke about how him and his brother Black Sam buried money, and it molded. He wasn't capping. Like, money will mold on you
too.
Right, like, money will mold on you. So you got to do something with it, bro. I was watching something a guy said today. He was like, stagnant money is dead money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your money has to stay in motion and keep flowing, which is the fact. Like, when it's out there working, it's going to bring you back more money. So like, we got to do something.
Whenever I have my like immediate like savings, more than my savings in my account, and I'm looking at like, what else can I do? Because I don't think it's good to have, like, I've seen my account be like big before, and I'm like, and then he's like, oh wow, I've never seen and then that's it. Because at the end of the day, if it's not doing anything for you, you're just losing money. If you just leave it sitting in the bank. If you listen to anybody that's, successful, like, even like Greg, like I'm always trying to find a way to move this money because it's about cash flow and having your money work for you and making investments. And like you said, the values always come back like they do. But at the same time, I was listening to someone and I took a second. I was at InvestFest and she was talking about how her neighbor bought a house that was $400,000. She's like, when is she going to ever make her money back? And I was like, man, she doesn't understand. And I had to educate her. I'm like, because she said, I think she's using it for Airbnb, but she'll never make her, she won't make her money back for like 15 to 20 years. I'm like, it doesn't, she doesn't like, what is she going to do with that money?
Right.
She's making cash flow.
That's
the game. That's the motive of the game. And I want to give one little play. And this is for anybody, no matter what you do. Take 3, 4, 5 of your bros or your whoever that all are doing the kind of same thing you're doing. All of y'all go start LLCs, and then all of y'all create invoices and do transactions amongst each other and pay each other out so the money can be flowing and get business credit, and it can also do some other things as well. But you can definitely get LLCs all amongst each other and start creating transactions amongst yourself so that you can show that money moving.
Yeah, for real. I mean, you can even like just by showing the money moving, right? You can go to, I literally just wrote this down earlier today because I wanted to share it with someone. You can literally go to capitalontap.com and they will do unsecured business lines of credit and credit cards. And they just need to show 9 months of bank statements. So you can just keep moving your money around and go get a loan, use that money to go start buying real estate. Like it's not as hard as people make it out to be, but a lot of people can't really think outside the box. But in real estate, you have to be creative as hell because them deals are out there. Right. And even if they're telling you you can't do it, you just work your way around it. Like for me, it's never a no. Like your no never makes sense to me. No, you can't do it. Cool. But I'm gonna think my way through it and I'm gonna get it done. Like I just have to.
That's what it's about. So all right, so we're definitely gonna get back to that. So we'll talk about real estate a bit more, wholesale and agent side and just the whole business. But before we even started recording, we were talking a bit about lead generation. So you were talking about like bandit signs, you were talking about hammering letters and stuff like that a little bit. So I want to know, what is your lead generation strategy like on the agent side, on the wholesaling side? Is it the same? Is it different? How do you go about it?
It's different. We don't do, and I'm an associate broker. I don't do a lot unless with my license, unless I have to list something in Alabama or unless we are actually, working on some type of development deals. Because my strategy, I tell people I only got my license to sell new construction. I didn't get it to actually get into general real estate. I never had the goal of being a field agent and showing a lot of houses. That's never been my goal. It's always to use it to leverage my investment arms. And so it gives me obviously access to the MLS in the Alabama area. And that's why, like, just going back with Tanisha, like we're going to be working on some stuff where we can leverage her team of agents to help us with that, with some of the stuff that we want to do retail in different markets. But man,
I'm about to get back in the game. Don't even say that.
So our lead generation, we do both inbound and outbound. So our inbound are our paid leads. So Google AdWords, we do some Facebook ads, and we actually generate a lot of social media content where they send things into us. So those are our inbound lead generation. And we have a team. We have an appointment setter. We have an appointment setter. We have an acquisition manager, a disposition manager. And they all work in unison to when those leads come in, we pre-qualify them. If they meet one level, then they go to the closer, and then contracts and follow-ups, and then dispositions. That's our inbound. And we try to make it as seamless. We're always still the goal with this, and the thing with Robert Kiyosaki did really well, because his information, although it was helpful for me as a newbie, but it wasn't anything, I guess out of the norm. He was an amazing marketer, right? Mm-hmm. He went on the Oprah show, like he doubled down hard in the recession. When he saw it coming, he had already bought all his real estate, he doubled down hard on marketing, where he hired teams and they were having these boot camps like in all the major cities. And that's why people know about him, because when he knew that was coming, he knew that there was going to be pennies on a dollar real estate. So I always, like, for me, I'm always thinking about how can I increase my marketing, and I'm okay with increasing marketing spend if my team can handle it, like, because it's all about getting out there and being noticed, right? Mm-hmm. Now, our outbound stuff, we do cold calling. We do, we do cold calling, we do cold text messaging, and those come in, and once they get pre-qualified, they go back through the funnel as well. So we do both inbound, outbound to generate leads, because at the end of the day, you just gotta be visible everywhere, however you can get it. We're always looking to build partnerships with other agents that are, especially now, because agents had it really, really, really good, 2019, 2020, 21. And now I see agents like falling by the wayside, trying to look at going back to full-time jobs because they only know one way of selling real estate. You gotta to be in this game, you gotta understand real estate, and you gotta understand an investor. You gotta understand, because some people, I talk to real estate agents a lot, and they're like, well, I don't understand why anybody would want to sell. Like, they don't understand why sellers would want to sell their property at a discount. Well, because they're distressed. They can't pay the taxes. The taxes are about to come due. They can't pay the insurance on the property. There may be something broken in the house. They can't afford it anymore. They can't afford the house anymore, or they don't want it anymore. And some agents some regular agents just can't understand that piece of it. And they don't understand. They think that, some investors that come in and with the low offers, oh, you're not serious. You're just lowballing me. No, well, I'm not in this to live in the house. I'm in this to make money. I'm an investor. I'm not looking to move my family in. And so I think once real estate agents understand that piece, they can actually do a lot of, they probably will take wholesalers out of the game, but as long as they stay ignorant to that information, wholesalers can go and gobble up a lot of this market.
Yeah, most
but
definitely.
You remember, that's why a week after we connected, I was like, look, man, this is what I'm going through, and really and truly, just from the conversations we have, I know you know what you're doing, and I know any and every agent I know you smoking them. So I'm like, look, man, I'm gonna talk to these agents that I buy my property through and see if you can structure all my deal and you guys work out the commission that way, because one, it's more than enough for everybody to get, but two, you get it. Like a lot of these real estate agents, they're really just that. They're real estate agents, but they don't understand investing. So I be talking to them, I'm like, how that don't make sense? Okay, just write it this way because I know it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, he just don't want to sell his house because it's overpriced. It's really overpriced. And if he don't see it, 6 months later, he'll see it. So tell him, if he says no, that's fine, but this is our offer, and let him know that, hey, we're going to always be here. So if it's not working out or you're not getting to sell, come back and holler at me. We'll figure it out. But a lot of them just don't make sense to them.
That's free game from both of these people to all of you agents. Listen, y'all need to be 2 words. I need to be investor friendly, right? Y'all need to be investor friendly, because listen, your average person, you said it earlier, right? For most people, real estate is the biggest purchase ever going to make in their entire lives for the average person. But for investors, they're buying deals day in, day out, every week, every month. And that can be a consistent client base for you if you are investor friendly and know how to work with them, and even and educate yourself and learn how to work with them, learn how to find them deals off market, on market, know how to run the numbers, know how to do the whole thing, because that can be instead of having to
constantly hustle to find a new client, they can literally be your bread and butter if you know what you're doing and if you're investor friendly. So major key right there.
Sidebar that really don't have much to do with it, but kind of do. You say, and you're right. Real estate will be the biggest investment for most people, but like not for us. Like I think, like for me personally, like one of my biggest investments is going to be an island or something like that. Like I'm back on that again. Like I was looking the other day, and I know I'm not ready, but the fact is, it's nothing going to stop us. Like, and I want to bring this back to the streets where Jay-Z said, "I'd rather live enormous than live dormant." And when I heard that, that's how I'm on it. That's bro. When I heard it years ago, that's how I was on it. But now I can still do the same thing without the stress and prison and getting shot at,
shoulder,
and getting shot. Like, come on, son. Like, bro, it's out here for all of us. And I mean, when you know, and like I know y'all know, and I just want people to feel and see the passion in what we saying, because bro, you can do it.
Yeah.
Give me 2 more years, I'm buying an island. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. But as I tell you, listen, every time we talk about islands, man, listen, think about them boats and how you're gonna get groceries and infrastructure to the island.
Thought about, but I'm telling you, like, I've been thought about all this.
Nah, I'm hit, man. I already know. But all right, so Kelly, you also made another great point, which is actually a perfect segue into the next question. So you spoke about your team. Said you had an acquisitions manager, disposition, you got people cold calling. All right, so how did you put your team together? How you put them together? How did you find them? How are you hiring them? How are you training them? Like, how is that whole process?
And better question, how are we going to put a team together here?
I know,
man. You stay talking about your business on the show, man.
No, I'm talking about our business. This is our business.
You're right. You're right.
3 of us.
That that is the one thing where most people like why they don't scale is because they want to do everything by themselves. And that's what, and sometimes it's okay. I tell people that's okay sometimes if you just want to do a couple of deals a month. 1 or 2 deals, like some real estate agents that only want to do 1 or 2, like less than 10 deals a year. And that's okay. You can totally do that by yourself. But if you're looking to scale, you got to have a team. It's just you just have to have a team. And so it's interesting because how you put it together, I don't know if you ever stop putting it together. Because people go in and out, like and I'm the person that I'm always looking for feedback from my team. I want to always let them know that I'm come to me if there's something we could be doing better. But I post a lot of my team.
You a headhunter.
Yeah, definitely headhunter. And I do suggest that when you do get big enough that you actually hire someone that understands that hiring process. But for me, I just, I post a lot of my team. I had already built relationships with them in some way or the other as we did other real estate transactions. And I saw how they moved and I like what I saw. And, and it does take, especially because we're still a startup, like when I look at like why they join, it's because they believe in the vision. You have to know where you're going, or at least know what the next step looks like. You don't have to have everything filled out because figured out, but you do need to know what the next step, because there's going to be, in this game, people are money motivated that are working. That's just all it is to it. We're not running a charity program, so people are absolutely money motivated, and they need to see what does it look like when they achieve this goal financially. And you need to be able to show them that and show them how to get there. And a lot of that is about providing training. I really am very, and Tanisha actually really triggered something in my mind where I saw like, wow, you spend that much time on training. She does it every month. She has a training course. She spends a lot of time. They have office hours with her. And I really took we've had lots of conversations. I took that and I even incorporated into my business. And, but my team, we have a call every day. every day before we get started to make sure that everybody's clear on the goals and objectives. We have trainings, in-person trainings where, you know, I teach them I always tell them, I need you to think like me. And in retrospect, nobody really ever think like you, but at least that when we go through these scenarios, you're here with me and you see what's my thought process. So I don't mind spending, I think a lot of people, they want to get things done so fast. If I would have done it by myself, it probably would have took me 30 minutes to do something. If it took me 2.5 hours to do something, but I taught somebody else to do it, so the next time I won't have to do it, I'm going to spend that 2.5 hours every time. Because when you start, especially if you are the owner and you are the visionary, you have to free yourself up from the implementation. Myron Golden has an amazing, I always go back to this value ladder that he talks about, and it's called implementation, communication, unification, and imagination as far as the realms of value. And you want to always be, as an owner, you want to be at the top in the imagination so you can continue to be the visionary of the company and work on your company and not in your company. On the implementation is where everybody that's doing the work. Communication is where your managers are. Unification is where your next level VPs are. But imagination is where you have to be, because otherwise, if you're down in implementation, you're only as good as what you can do. And it didn't strike me until I started hiring people, how I'm like, I still don't have enough people. How is it that I thought that I was going to do all of this myself, and I still don't have enough people, and everything that I'm hiring people for are things that I had on my plate? It just doesn't make sense. But we do have a training program where we basically, you know, I train them on how to structure deals, train them how to evaluate deals. And then we also, I'm actually in Birmingham, in the office here in Birmingham right now. I'm out of Huntsville, but in the Birmingham office right now, and I'm sitting down with each one of my managers, and we're going through flows and processes, going through all the details, because now I'm training them, because we're trying to gear up for them. I'm going to hire them an assistant, but I need to know that they understand what they need to be doing, so when they are managing someone else, they can manage someone. So it's all about, you know, spending that time in training. I'm really big on training, maybe because I come from a sales background, that you spend a lot of time on training and mindset. That I need to know that you are very clear on what your goals are, because if you're not clear on what your goals are, your day is going to be a mess and you're not going to get anything done. So that's why we always start with a meeting, and I always spend time where we get together as a team and we go through the things and we look at our processes and we see what can be improved. And I told them, like, everything is not going to happen overnight. Like, some of this stuff is just going to be over time. But how can we make it the simplest changes to get the maximum amount of results? And that's all I focus on for the week. And we don't focus on anything else. I'll tell them, we know we need to do this, but we're not going to even think about this right now until we get this finished, right? Or unless we have a monetary goal. I'm not going to think about adding in more automation until we at least get to this number, because we don't need that. We need to stretch ourselves first, and then we can contract once we start meeting some goals. But right now, we're going to have to exhaust ourselves so we can see what's our actual limits.
Listen, yo, man, look. If you're listening to this and you're watching this, whatever you're doing, you got to run that back, because that was bars on bars on bars on bars. So yeah,
I was just thinking, man. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, we have to clip that up.
Yeah, those are big bars. No, you was in that zone. I feel it for sure. So that was dope.
I want to add though too, just kind of go back to a question you had earlier, or a statement you made earlier about, you know, real estate agents. Like, I teach people, like, you really only need one builder, but you only need 10 builders that are building, you know, anywhere between about 10 properties, or investors, cash investors that are buying about 10 to 12 properties a year. If you just had 10 of them, just 10 clients that was doing that type of volume, you wouldn't have to worry about doing any more lead generation, because you have investors that are always buying, or unless you want to scale. But if it's just you and you want to just work within your own sphere, that's all you need is 10 good buyers, because your 10 best cash buyers are going to generate 80% of your income anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
You know,
exactly.
don't worry about the 20 you're gonna spend 80% of your time on. Worry about the 20 cash and buy investors are gonna generate you 80% of your income versus the, you know, that 80% that's gonna have you spinning your wheels and getting you off your systems and your processes of how you do deals. Because when you can't create a system and a process, that's where I see a lot of people they don't go anywhere. It's just kind of like trying to start the car and it's just not going anywhere. So
hey, listen, yo, is this the podcast or is this the smack rap battle? Because this just bars on bars on bars. Yo, she just hit you with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Like, listen, y'all just got too many gems, man. So all right, so look, man. So very true. Huh?
Yeah. Before we move on from that, right? Now, okay, so I can only speak for myself. Imagine me as your client, right? Where all I ever do is I will call you with an address. I will text you with an address. Yo, I need to see this. You ain't even got to show up. No one. I don't care who you are as my agent. You don't got to show up. Just give me information. Let me run and play. I'm bringing you the property. You ain't got to show up. I don't need you to hold my hand and walk me through it. I ran all my numbers. All I need you to do is kill this negotiation. That's it. What you say? You need a POF? The POF on the way, bro. Like, what are we doing? Just kill. When we're doing this contract, I need you to be a pit bull. Like, I come to win. When I win, you win. And as many of these as I can get, I'm going to buy. As long as the numbers are right. It's a numbers game.
Okay, Greg, fine. I'll work on getting my Maryland real estate license. Okay, bro. Okay.
You should, because then we can definitely work with your brother and get these deals structured, man.
All right, so look. All right, what month is it? What is it? August? All right, I'm trying to get my Maryland. All right, listen, y'all gotta be my accountability partners. I'm setting a goal. I can't say hopefully. Listen, before the end of 2022, I'm gonna work on getting my Maryland RE license so we can get it rolling. So, all right,
bro, y'all hear that? He said, "I'm not gonna say possibly," but then in the same sentence, he said, "I'm gonna work." Hopefully, nah, bro. By October, I'm gonna have it in the store.
All right, cool. All right, October, maybe November. All right, but we're gonna see. All right.
You're licensed in Florida?
I am. Yes, ma'am.
Is I don't even know. Is Florida a reciprocal?
Listen, I checked. It isn't. So I'm sorry. I gotta get back in them books and do my thing. So yeah, but listen. I mean, we already doing great with the show. Let's actually do some more real estate stuff and really get it popping. So most definitely. All right. So Kelly, first of all, you killed it. You've been killing it. But it's time for what I'm officially now calling the big three questions. The last three questions of the show, right? Okay. So, but this is just about you. So, first question: what are some of your favorite books?
My favorite book. So right now, I'm actually reading again the 3 Magic Words. Okay. That was a book. It's actually Nipsey Hussle. When he came out with his book list, that was on his book list. And then
3 Magic Words.
3 Magic Words. Yes. And then the Blue Ocean Strategy, where basically it talks about marketing and how to be that red dot in the blue ocean, right? Third one, it's not really a motivational book. It's kind of like a recent favorite. I really enjoyed the Will Smith biography.
I've been hearing good things about that.
I have the hard copy and the audio copy, and I'm on my 2.5 time reading it, like listening to it. I don't know. It's just, it's just kind of like one of those things where when you associate, triumph and then you overcome. And, Will Smith has always been like one of those, staple type of legends in the game. But I think he did a really, really good job on his biography. And I've listened to it several times all the way through.
So that's dope. And I actually got a special fun fact for anybody listening. Greg, I don't even think you know this, but when I first moved to America from Jamaica, I was about 6 years old. The first movie that I saw was the first Bad Boys. So I hopped off Air Jamaica with the fresh Jamaican accent, right? You know what I'm saying? But I watched Bad Boys on VHS on repeat, and that's how I learned to speak American English, by watching Mike Lowry on Bad Boys. Yeah, super crazy. Didn't know that. Yeah, so Will Smith, I owe a lot to you, man. Shout out to you. Got a lot of sauce and swag from Mike Lowry. So there's that. All right. So Kelly, who is your favorite rapper, and what is your favorite album from that rapper?
Oh, it's easy. That's Kanye West, Graduation.
Okay, nice. That's
or Darkest Defect. I don't know. It goes back and forth, but Graduation, I only take Graduation because Graduation was like that album where I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I like, because I was an R&B girl. I'm like, I think I like hip hop now. Like Graduation was that album for me.
No, I Wonder is a special track. It's a special album for real. I in my opinion, I think My Beautiful Dark Fantasy might be his overall best album, but Death Graduation is a fire project. All right, cool. Last question. What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I feel like I'm gonna be favorite movie. What is my favorite movie? It's it's not like a cut and dry. It's like what I have a comedy favorite, a fiction. Like
drop them all in.
Okay. So I would say so Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't know why. I just like the action.
It's a fire joint.
I watch it every time it comes on, and I still watch Boys in the Hood all the time. Like I'm that's one that I can always favorite comedy is probably gonna be Friday. I'm one of those kids where I remember watching that for the first time. But I also like I like movies that were loosely representing or based on true stories. So The Big Short is actually like a movie that, and then obviously me being in real estate, I think I just connect with it because of that time. Yeah. But The Big Short is like one of my like based on a true story type of
really movie. Amazing movie though, really good movie.
Yeah. I think that's it. I feel like I don't know. That's an interesting question though. I don't know. I don't even think I've really thought about what my favorite movie would be.
See, listen, y'all tuning in to Brick by Brick. We got the riveting questions over here, man. For real. So, Kelli Meade, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please let the people know, how can they find you? How can they connect with you? How can they follow you? All that.
Yeah, so you can follow me on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. It's just Kelli. There it is up there, right here. KELLIMEADE on YouTube, and then on Instagram is Kels KELSALLWAYS, which I've been told to change it, but Kels always on Instagram and on TikTok as well. TikTok, the same handle. So yes, you can contact me that way.
Okay, bet. So all right, so Kelli, first lady of the Brick by Brick show on the Brick by Brick. So shout out to you. Listen, we're gonna be doing deals, more conversation, more wealth, and thank you for coming on. Sincerely, thank you.
I'm excited. I can't wait till you tell me, hey, I got these licenses. Let's do these deals. Like, let's go.
They hold me accountable already, man. All right, I got to do it now. All right, let's get it.
I'm gonna be on them about it.
I'll come up there to y'all. Like, let's go to the ground. Let's get the ground. Let's hit the ground running.
Let's get it. As a matter of fact, I'm about to call Tanisha. She was popping too, so we got to make that whole thing happen as well too.
But you know what's crazy? I really appreciate you, Kelli. I really do. I remember when I found this apartment redevelopment. I don't even think I told you about it yet, Steph, because we just been going through it. You know what I'm saying? I shot it over to it, and bruh, within like a day or two, by like 2 days, gave me a whole breakdown. Like, hey, this is what you can do. This is what it's gonna cost. If the rents look like this, this is what it's gonna be worth. If it look like that, that's what it's gonna be worth. Like, just off the strength of she rocked with me and I rocked with her, and I was like, yo, look at this and tell me what you think and how I should structure this deal. Killed it.
Man, that's what it's about, man.
I appreciate
people.
We gotta follow up on that too. I know I still owed you something on that, so we gotta follow up.
Plus I'm gonna email you what the architect said, like the square footage and the numbers and his price crazy. Like, just drawings, bro, on like almost 35,000. But we'll talk about it.
Yo, I got an architect and a developer out of Texas who probably ain't gonna charge you that much, who does good work. Matter of fact, we need to get him on the show as well too. That's a whole nother convo. But yeah, but Kelly, once again, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, man.
Bye.
All right, talk to you soon.